Friends, I want to challenge your perception of time and faith today. You've been taught to believe that waiting is passive, that it's a pause, that it's a void, but I'm here to show you something shocking. Waiting on God is not emptiness. It is activation. When you understand the hidden structure of spiritual timing and how it interweaves with your neurological and energetic field, you'll begin to see that waiting on God is not delay, it's design. Let me give you 3 shocking reasons why waiting on God is not wasted time. Reasons that don't just inspire your heart but transform your mind and your biology. 1. Your brain and body are being rewired in the waiting. When you're waiting in faith, you're not doing nothing, you're doing everything. Science tells us that when you focus on elevated emotions, gratitude, patience, surrender, your brain enters a coherent state. Neural pathways begin to fire in new patterns. Your heart rate synchronizes. Your hormonal chemistry changes. You become biologically aligned with the very reality you're waiting for. Every moment you wait in trust, you are literally constructing the neurological architecture for your answered prayer. So no, waiting is not wasted. It is the rewiring process of destiny. 2. The field is rearranging around you when you tune into faith. When you align your inner state with divine timing, you're not just changing yourself. You are influencing the quantum field. See, the universe responds not to what you want, but to who you are being. And when you become a person who waits with peace, with faith, with expectancy, not frustration, you're sending a clear energetic signal to the field. I trust the outcome. It's already done. This signal begins to attract synchronicities, people, events, everything necessary to fulfill what you're waiting for. So what looks like a delay is actually a divine orchestration. The invisible is becoming visible. The impossible is becoming inevitable. 3. You are becoming the vessel that can hold the vision. God doesn't give you a vision that your character isn't ready to carry. In the waiting, you're not just preparing for the breakthrough. The breakthrough is preparing you. Think of it this way: if you received what you asked for before you became who you need to be, it could destroy you. The waiting is molding, shaping, stretching. It's not punishment, it's preparation. You are becoming the person who can sustain the miracle. The waiting is sacred. It's where your identity is recalibrated to match the magnitude of your destiny. So yes, it may feel like nothing's happening. But in the realm of energy, in the dimension of spirit, in the biology of your own becoming, everything is happening. Waiting on God is not a delay in your life, it's an upgrade, so breathe, trust. Stay in gratitude, because what you're waiting for is already on its way, and when it arrives, you'll realize you were never waiting at all. You were becoming. Waiting on God is often misunderstood as passive, idle time. But from a neurological and energetic standpoint, nothing could be further from the truth. When you engage in intentional, faith-filled waiting, your brain is undergoing a profound transformation. In this state, you are not simply holding out hope. You are actively participating in the restructuring of your inner world. Neural pathways that were once dominated by fear, doubt, and impatience begin to quiet down. In their place, new circuits form, ones rooted in trust, surrender, and expectancy. This isn't just poetic language, it's biology. The brain responds to repeated focus. Every time you meditate, pray, or simply hold on to the belief that what you've asked for is already on its way, you reinforce those faith-based circuits. As these connections grow stronger, they begin to override your survival-based programming. The limbic brain, home of emotional reactivity, starts to give way to the prefrontal cortex, the seat of conscious creation and intention. Your mind becomes clearer, more focused, more attuned to possibility. Simultaneously, your body is listening. The emotional signals that accompany this kind of waiting, patience, gratitude, inner peace, send chemical messages throughout your system. Cortisol levels drop. The immune system strengthens. Your heart rhythm becomes more coherent, syncing with the brain and creating a state of internal harmony. This is not wasted time, it is construction time. You are literally becoming someone new, someone neurologically aligned with the future you've envisioned. This process requires repetition, consistency, and emotional integrity. You can't fake this kind of waiting. It must come from a deep place of alignment with divine timing. When that happens, the changes taking place within you are real, lasting, and foundational. You are not waiting on God to move. God is moving through your waiting. When you wait on God with intention and emotional coherence, your brain and heart begin to enter a synchronized rhythm, a powerful physiological state known as coherence. In this state, the electromagnetic signals emitted by the heart become more ordered and aligned with the brain's activity. This creates a harmonic frequency throughout the body, and that harmony is not just internal, it's energetic. You begin to emit a signal into the field around you, a signal that carries the vibrational signature of peace, trust, and divine expectation. This coherence isn't accidental. It is activated through elevated emotions, gratitude, surrender, love, and hope. When you feel these emotions consistently during the waiting process, they generate measurable shifts in your nervous system. The sympathetic and parasympathetic branches of the autonomic nervous system begin to work in balance. Stress hormones decrease and your body starts to enter a state of healing and restoration. You become energetically clear, and that clarity sends a signal to the quantum field that you are no longer living in fear or lack, but in alignment with divine provision. When your heart and brain are in coherence, you're not just healthier physically, you're more magnetic spiritually. You become a match to the very future you're believing for. This internal alignment makes your prayers more than words. They become resonant frequencies that influence reality at the subatomic level. It's a conversation between your biology and the divine intelligence embedded in the fabric of the universe. Waiting in coherence is not passive. It's one of the most active states of spiritual creation. It trains your body to feel now what your mind believes is coming, creating a feedback loop that makes you not just a believer in the promise, but a living embodiment of its fulfillment long before it arrives. Emotions are not just reactions, they are powerful frequencies that communicate with the world around you. When you wait on God with elevated emotions like gratitude, joy, peace, and trust, you're not simply coping with delay. You're sending out a vibrational signal that begins to attract the very future you're aligned with. The key is consistency. Every time you hold an elevated emotional state during the waiting, you're broadcasting a message into the field, I already believe it's done. This emotional alignment becomes a magnetic force. Neuroscience shows that our thoughts and emotions create measurable electromagnetic fields around the body. When you consistently feel the emotional reality of your desired outcome, even before it physically manifests, you begin to influence the quantum field, the unseen realm where all possibilities exist. That's not metaphysics, that's physics. You become a participant in the unfolding of your reality rather than a passive observer. It's not the wanting that creates the shift, it's the feeling that it's already so. The body begins to respond to this internal environment. Your nervous system stops anticipating danger. Your immune system becomes stronger. Your mind stops chasing outcomes and starts resting in trust. This emotional shift sends clear, coherent instructions to your subconscious mind and to the energy field surrounding you. In this space, synchronicities become more common, doors open, people appear, circumstances rearrange, not because you force them, but because you match their frequency. When you stay emotionally elevated in the waiting, you're no longer waiting in frustration or fear. You're becoming a vibrational match to your answered prayer. The waiting becomes a creative act. It shapes your energy signature so that what you are believing for is not just something you hope will happen. It's something you are actively attracting through your emotional alignment. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are being. When you're waiting on God and your inner state is aligned with faith, trust, and surrender, you are influencing the quantum field far more than you realize. This field, the invisible energetic web that connects all things, responds not to your words but to your electromagnetic signature. And that signature is determined by your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. When those are in alignment with divine timing, you begin to collapse probability into reality. When you operate from fear, doubt, or impatience, you emit an incoherent signal that communicates lack, separation, and mistrust. The field reflects that back through delayed outcomes, resistance, or confusion. But when your internal environment reflects certainty, peace, and the assumption that what you've prayed for is already yours, you send a coherent, unified message to the field, one that resonates with order, harmony, and divine intelligence. In that resonance, possibilities begin to organize themselves in your favor. The shift is subtle but profound. It moves you from chasing outcomes to drawing them to you. Instead of looking for evidence that it's working, you become the evidence. Your calm, your joy, your inner wholeness, all of it becomes proof that you're already aligned with the outcome, and that alignment magnetizes your reality. This is why your internal state matters more than your external circumstances. You may see no visible change, but if you've changed, everything is already changing. The field responds to who you are now, not who you were when you made the request. So when you wait with alignment, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, you're not waiting in vain. You're shaping reality from the inside out, signaling to the universe that you're no longer hoping. You're embodying the result as if it already exists. What often feels like a delay is actually divine orchestration, unfolding in dimensions you can't yet perceive. Just because you don't see movement doesn't mean there isn't motion. In fact, the waiting period is often when the most intricate, unseen alignments are taking place. There are conversations you haven't heard, doors you haven't seen, and timing sequences you can't control that are all coming into alignment with the very thing you're believing for. What looks like silence on the outside is often synchronization on the inside of reality itself. This orchestration is not random, it's intelligent. It's guided by a higher order that knows not just what you're asking for but who you're becoming in the process. It factors in your readiness, the readiness of others involved, and the divine sequence that will bring the highest good for all. So, while your logical mind may interpret delay as a problem, your spirit must learn to see it as precision. Divine timing doesn't move according to urgency, it moves according to alignment. Even when things feel still, they are not stagnant. Energy is reorganizing, people are being moved into place, resources are being prepared, situations are evolving behind the scenes to meet you at the exact moment when your heart, mind, and spirit are fully ready to receive. If you received prematurely, you might miss the fullness of what's intended for you. The delay protects the depth of the promise. Waiting becomes more bearable, and even beautiful, when you understand it through the lens of orchestration, not absence. There's nothing random in divine timing. Every moment is part of a choreography that includes more than you can see. Your responsibility is not to rush it, but to stay in alignment while the pieces you can't control fall into place with perfect precision. The waiting season is not a holding cell. It's a construction site where your character, capacity, and spiritual maturity are being built. When you're asking God for something significant, there's often a preparation process that happens beneath the surface, one that strengthens the internal foundation required to sustain what you're about to receive. Just as a building must be reinforced to hold weight, your inner world must be developed to hold the weight of answered prayer, favor, or purpose. The time spent waiting is where that deep work happens. During the wait, you're being stretched emotionally, spiritually, and sometimes physically. You're learning patience in a culture that celebrates urgency. You're developing faith in a reality you can't yet see. You're being invited to trust not in outcomes, but in the one who orchestrates them. This isn't punishment, it's refinement. Pressure reveals what's inside you, and the waiting season brings it all to the surface. Your fears, your doubts, your control patterns. But it also reveals your resilience, your growth, your hidden strength. This process is not meant to break you, but to remake you. Each moment you choose to stay rooted in trust rather than panic, you build a deeper capacity for stability. Each time you surrender what you can't control, You open space for divine power to move through you. Waiting builds endurance, and endurance builds strength. Not just physical strength, but emotional intelligence, spiritual discernment, and mental clarity. What you gain in the waiting is often more important than what you're waiting for. Because once the promise arrives, it's your internal infrastructure that will determine whether you can carry it with grace or crumble under its weight. The delay is not denial, it's divine development, training you to become a person of depth, discipline, and unwavering alignment. Every vision, calling, or break through your waiting for requires a version of you that doesn't yet fully exist. The waiting period is not just about time passing until circumstances change. It's about who you are becoming in the process. You are being shaped into the vessel that can hold, sustain, and honor what you're asking for. If you were given the promise too soon, without the depth or stability to carry it, it could become a burden instead of a blessing. That's why the waiting is more about transformation than arrival. This transformation isn't always visible from the outside. It happens in your thoughts, in your habits, in the quiet moments when you choose peace over anxiety, faith over fear, surrender over control. Every time you let go of impatience and lean into trust, you're embodying a higher version of yourself. You're proving to your own nervous system that it is safe to wait, that you are not a victim of time, but a participant in divine preparation. You begin to notice patterns in your thinking, emotions that need healing, beliefs that need upgrading. The waiting shines a light on these places, not to shame you, but to refine you. It's the inner work that no one else can do for you. You start to release old identities, habits, and attachments that no longer serve the future you're stepping into. Slowly, you begin to carry a different energy, one that matches the frequency of your answered prayer. The version of you that made the request is not the same version who will receive the answer. The gap between those two selves is where the waiting happens. And in that space, you are being rebuilt with greater capacity, deeper wisdom, and a spiritual authority that cannot be taught, only formed through the process. Gratitude is one of the most powerful emotional states you can embody during a waiting season. It signals to your body and the universe that you already have what you've asked for, even before it shows up in physical form. This state of thankfulness doesn't come from having the outcome in hand. It comes from trusting so deeply in its arrival that your body, mind, and spirit begin to respond as if it's already done. That shift changes everything. It moves you from longing into receiving, from resistance into flow. Neuroscience confirms that the act of feeling gratitude creates a cascade of beneficial chemicals in the brain, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, helping to reinforce neural pathways associated with joy and peace. This isn't just mood enhancement, it's rewiring your system to align with the reality you're waiting for. Your body begins to memorize a future outcome, creating a new emotional baseline that's in harmony with divine timing. You're no longer waiting in fear or doubt, but in celebration of what's already on the way. Gratitude also anchors you in the present moment, where all creation begins. It brings your awareness out of the future, out of the anxiety of when, and into the now, where peace lies. From this place, your energy shifts from lack to fulfillment. That shift doesn't just affect how you feel, it changes the frequency you emit into the field. Gratitude is a high-frequency emotion, and high frequencies attract clarity, breakthrough, and divine alignment. The more consistently you feel gratitude in the waiting, the faster you align with the outcome. Not because you've manipulated time, but because you've synchronized with a reality where your prayer is already answered. Gratitude collapses the distance between desire and manifestation by teaching your body to believe that the blessing is already here. The person you are becoming must be able to hold the vision you're praying for. If you received your blessing or breakthrough without the necessary growth, you might not have the resilience, wisdom, or emotional capacity to handle it. Divine timing doesn't just give you what you want, it gives you what you're ready for. The waiting season is often about becoming the version of yourself that can sustain the magnitude of the vision you've asked for. The delay is not a denial, It's a process of internal alignment that ensures you won't just receive the promise, but can manage it with grace and responsibility. This growth is not always obvious. It's not about adding new skills or resources. It's about transforming the internal foundation. You begin to shed old beliefs, fears, and self-doubts that once limited your potential. You start to understand that your capacity for receiving and maintaining your desires is directly connected to your emotional, mental, and spiritual readiness. If you want to receive abundance, you must expand your beliefs about your worthiness. If you want to step into greater leadership, you must first refine your character and decision-making ability. This is why the waiting period often feels uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable because it forces you to face parts of yourself that have been hidden or dormant. It brings up the very things that need healing, patterns, fears, insecurities, and in doing so, it invites you to heal and evolve. This transformation ensures that you don't just receive the blessing, but can steward it well. When you're in the waiting, it might feel like nothing is happening externally. But on the inside, the most crucial work is being done. You are becoming the person capable of holding the fullness of the vision that's coming your way. Waiting is not a passive state, it is a dynamic process of transformation. The very idea that time is being wasted while you wait is a misunderstanding of how energy, consciousness, and reality work. When you wait with faith, alignment, and trust, you are actively creating the conditions for your desired outcome to manifest. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions during the waiting period are not merely idle. They are preparing the ground, setting the energetic foundation for the future that is unfolding. Every moment spent in patience, every prayer of surrender, and every act of faith is laying the groundwork for what is to come. You are shifting your energy, refining your focus, and aligning your vibration with the reality you wish to see. This is not an empty waiting period. It is the most crucial time of preparation. Through your thoughts, you are teaching your mind to hold the vision. Through your emotions, you are creating the resonance necessary to attract that vision into your life. Moreover, the waiting period is a time of self-discovery and alignment. It's where you learn to release control, to trust the process, and to become one with the flow of life. In the waiting, you come to understand that the outcome is already in motion, even if you can't see it. Your growth, your inner peace, and your willingness to trust the divine timing are exactly what the universe needs to align the conditions for your manifestation. So the time you think you are losing is actually time well spent. It is the time you are given to prepare yourself, your heart, and your mind to fully receive what's coming. Nothing is wasted because you are being shaped, refined, and aligned every single moment.